Oh yeah, it's a holiday, it's a weekend. I'm answering university emails. How not entertaining, right? What a way to spend your holiday answering emails. Pretty good. Had a good morning at the gym. Yes, I was at the gym. Pretty interesting, right? At the gym. Fit cop, fat cop, right? God, who messes with this thing? I think my dogs come in and live stream. I don't know. They have their own channel. But anyway, I was at the gym. So, kind of challenged myself. I don't know any of you guys watch specific broadcasts, So I decided to tune in and truly test the algorithm, truly test the sucker punch, the phenomenon of, command. So I searched the internet vast and wide, YouTube, Rumble, X, all the good stuff. And I wanted to find a white supremacy channel. I wanted to find a black supremacy channel. I wanted to find a white power, black power. You guys know where I'm going, right? So I found, a couple of those. I found some Islam power, found some jihad power, found the channels. Found them, experiment, right? University, scholarly stuff. Found them, listened to a few of them, with an open head. Here's why. When the voice in your head starts affecting your body, the body counts rise. Yeah. The body counts not as in dead bodies, but the body counts as in the psychological count, the influence, the threat detection, the circuitry in your brain, the fMRI, the MRI, everything that's working together, right? So, the more you feed that brain, the psychological duress happens. How the brain salines the networks together and misfires at the same time. Sane, insanity, argue it however you want. Why did this guy do this? And search all of this. It was that experience of guilt or no guilt. I had no guilt whatsoever. None. Somebody would say, that guy's bad. He should feel guilty or shamed. He listened to, I'm black and he listened to white supremacy. I'm white. He listened to black supremacy. I'm Christian. He listened to Muslim. You guys know the gambit of it, right? Somebody's going to have it. It's that defendant chronological act of, woe is me. The hallucinogen, the thing that you listen to, the thing that commands the brain, the phenomenon. What is deceitful? What is not deceitful? What is directing? What is misdirecting? What is misleading? That stupid ass term, fact check, right? The hijacking of the brain internally is what we're talking about today. The general signals that one gets that aid in the hallucinogenic phenomenon of this is what you are, this is the direction, what the command actually is versus how you interpret it and how you see it, right? Frontal lobe, audio, visual, the host, the guest. Yeah, I know, I'm kind of relaxed today. It's a holiday. So, command hallucinogenics or hallucinations, CHs, okay? They're a specific set of subtype auditory hallucinations which allow a person to hear voices that give directions. The devil made me do it. Instructions to perform an act, okay? They're real in the head, but it's not like there's a gerbil in your head and with a typewriter or an electric probe sending the information to your brain. It's already stored there. Limbic system, hippocampus, it's the filing drawer, the memories that you hear. So when you're out there doom scrolling for all of the bad news and all of the edict, preaching, rhetoric, ideology, whatever it is you're looking for your entertaining day in the gym, the auditory hallucinations are there. The real words, the voices, commentating on behavior, the command hallucination, the directive. Why we want you to hear this, why we want you to have this specific thought pattern, the directive. They tell a person to do something specific. It may not be physical, but it's going to instruct, it's going to embed, it's going to bust into the circuitry, kind of like bad gasoline in your car. It's going to bust into the fuel system. It's going to bust in and mess up the spark plugs, the fire sequence. It's all going to be jacked up, not because the engine's jacked up, but because the fuel's crap. The fuel that's coming into the brain, the hallucination of this is real, this is what is factual, this has got a good fact check to it, or this is scholarly, or this has a set precedence, or this has validity or credibility. The commands given, auditory, visual, can range. Yeah. Beginning instructions. Think of it as drinking water to hydrate. That's the instruction. You've got to stop. You need to slow down. You've got to recuperate the body. When you're tired, you can sleep. If you're thirsty, you can drink. Dehydrated, you can, hydrate. The brain works the same way the body works, but the brain is the major computer, the ECM, the chip to the body. It's a dangerous directive to change force or force path on the actual chip when you do not understand what you're listening to or what you're hearing. The ideology, the edict, the rhetoric, the hallucination of it's real. It's an instruction. It's kind of like a schizophrenic, going into the bathroom and speaking to a vampire after a movie. It's the way it is. It's kind of an oddity. Research in the past, all right? This is an academic show. It's not a replacement for a classroom, but it is academic. Research shows that approximately 53% of adult psychiatric patients who experience auditory hallucinations also experience command hallucinations at the same point. Auditory and command, hearing, auditory. If you smell food in the other room, you can interpret what type of food it is because you've smelled it before, you've tasted it. It's yummy. You've got to go get some. It's kind of like Christmas dinner. You know what Christmas dinner is: turkey, ham, all the fixings, all the good stuff. So you know what you're going to be smelling. So the commands that are auditory, the brain interprets it at the same time as this is real. So the rates vary across the board, obviously, with, psychopathy, psychosis, schizophrenia, psychiatric patients, whatever it may be. So it's, it's always going to spread across the board, but 53% of adults, man, and that's recent. That's from 2003, 2013, 2018, 2023, 2024. Can't do 25, 26. Too soon to peer review. We all know that. Let's not argue that thing. So, what makes command hallucinations so particularly interesting or concerning for forensic psychiatry is not just the content of the command, but the person's response. It's not the content, but it's the response, the compliance, the appeasement, or the resistance. The compliant, let's do it, we're going to comply. The appeasement, I'm appeased, I'm happy now. And the resistance, no. It's kind of like a lie detector test. Yeah. Bob got killed, so we're going to give John a lie detector test because we can't tell if John's lying or not. That's what they're for, people. SCVSA, voice stress test, lie detector. If it's a bad interrogation, you can't tell that Steve's lying about killing Bob. Yeah, the lie detector test, try to find out if they're lying because you can't tell. Bad interrogator, bad detective, crappy technique, bad methodology. Go back to school. So, think of it this way. Is it bad to be happy that Bob got murdered and it show up on the SCVSA or show up on the lie detector polygraph? No. Resistance. Oh, you can't change that emotional switch. You're happy inside, but the body's going to react a different way. Hallucination command, right? The compliance, the appeasement, the resistance. So kind of track it all together. It's not illegal to want Bob dead. It's not illegal to be happy and throw a damn Bob's dead party. Are you going to resist the compounding words of, hey, look, everybody, I'm happy Bob's dead. Let's have that happy Bob's dead party. You're going to resist that, or are you going to comply to it, or are you going to stay appeased but not act on it through compliance because the voice is telling you the devil made me do it? Three different things. Understanding these responses require looking at how the person interprets the voice's power. Yeah, the intent, the consequences of disobedience. Yes, the consequences of disobedience because someone does not comply. The appeasement is not enough. One has to comply. They must be gone. It's kind of like Doom scrolling. All of the black people, we got to go hunt the white people down before they get us. All of the white people, we got to go hunt the black people down before they get all this. The Islams, the non-Islam, this religion, that religion, this. It's the same thing. The appeasement, the compliance, the resistance. Yes, I listened to all of it. Yep, sure did. Sure did listen to it. Pretty entertaining. I was on the treadmill, kind of laughing a few times at some of the hallucinogen verbiage. Yeah, we're going to go do this, we're going to go do that. With what skill, what training, what experience, what equipment, what tool, what intel, what signal, what? A lot of that, a lot of BS talk. The risk assessment, okay, the Journal of American Psychiatry, it's always the compliance and the risk assessment. What is the person at risk to do? Is it just a mens rea, the mental? Or is that mens rea, that compliance, that impedant resistance going to fail, and now they're going to step into the actus rea, acting, doing, committing the actual power of the voice? I don't like Bob. You should kill Bob. Yeah, I should kill Bob. Yes, that's it, inner me, myself, and me. I should kill Bob. The devil made me do it. I am my own worst enemy, my own worst what? Devil. The hallucinogen. The power of the words. Chats are open. Throw something in. Yeah, intrusive thoughts. Yep, intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are always there. We all have intrusive thoughts, just like everybody has sadist thoughts. Sadistic. Your best friend gets hurt. It's resistance. Are we going to resist? Are we going to appease the moment? Or are we just going to fall to the command of the internal voices? That was hilarious. Look at that. They look like a moron. The whole shift, the fall, the incumbency that they have as they fell down the stairs. I know their head's bleeding and they're probably got a fractured frontal, cortex, or their inner eye sockets. Something's bad, but your sadist behavior, internal voice says, yeah, we're going to do it. The intrusive devil made me last giggle. Unlike a real general hallucination, all right, Bugs Bunny cartoon, which may involve hearing random sounds, music, kind of like the music you hear, the perception, even on the show to set the mood, the voice commentating the behavior, the hallucination directive. Tell the person to do something specific. These are the critical moments, the specific, the details, kind of like the fact check, the details. What did I search for today when I was searching for all of the hate media, all of the hate groups, everything that was like, Now, we got a stutter going on here in the world. Yep, YouTube did a stutter. It's all okay, but back to the topic. The details, the devil's instructions, the auditory, when to do it, where to do it, how to do it, specific pretext of the setup, the with intent. Are you truly going to do this? Research shows that approximately 53% of adults, patients who experience auditory hallucinations also experience command hallucinations. Remember that. So they're pretty much the same, but what is the detail in the command? Roughly half the psychiatric patients on the planet hear voices, making them one of the most common and dangerous symptoms in psychiatric disorders. Mental health. Anybody ever been in the inner city, driving down the street in your car, or walking down the street and you see somebody talking to the butterflies? Why do you think in comedy, why do you think in haha cartoons, there's always the guys in the white coats with the butterfly nets? That's where it came from. Historical venue, psychopathy, psychiatric, psychiatry, the inner voice, the inner disclosure of the instruction, the danger of the command, all right? Hallucinations lie. They're not reality. It's not just what's in the voice, but it's how the person interprets the voice's power, the authority, the perceived consequences. Don't obey me. This is going to happen. Yeah, I had to do it or this would happen. How many times have you watched your favorite cool TV show or your investigation show and you heard that? I had to do it or this was going to be the outcome, the consequence. And the consequence, not obeying the structure or the power of the command or the voice, was in reality fictitious. That was not going to be the consequence, be it good or bad. It exists, people. Yes. Hersh and Borum. I've said this before in the past, used these two in the past, but you've always got historical validity, credibility, set precedent, and mental health, forensics, psychiatry, psychology, sociology, criminal justice, CJ, right? CJ TV. Forensic psychiatrists must assess not only the presence of the command, but also the person's belief. Why is someone hearing a specific voice, and who is the specific voice? Who is the specific auditory signal? Where is it coming from? Is it the aliens? Is it Area 51? There's an influence. The resistance, the appeasement, the command, the psychiatric disorder. We've got to understand the psychiatric disorder too, as much as we have to understand the power, the influence of the voice, the violent risk. The violent risk is just not the violent risk to society. I know. Well, he was watching hate videos today. Hate entertainment on YouTube. Hate entertainment on Rumble. Well, it's on Rumble and YouTube. It's good enough for Rumble and YouTube, and good enough for the algorithm, and good enough for all of the people in the text and the chats and the scrolling that were watching it and listening to it. Good for the goose, good for the gander. The appeasement, the resistance, the command, the consequence, the learn. Academic. It was a test. The auditory, the verbiage, the command, the three responses: compliance, appeasement, and resistance. All right. Those are the critical keys. When someone hears the command, they respond in one of three ways. Period. Done. Compliance means carrying out the full command as instructed. Comply. Comply. Clean your room. Do this in this specific order. You have a job task. These are the specific, this is, the methodology, the structure, what has to be done in a specific order. How do you forensically make cereal? You would be surprised how many people botch that up. Well, you got to go kitchen, get the bowl. No. It said make cereal. Starts all from a seed. Or starts from some laboratory manufacturer. Anybody know about a cereal brand that's like lab manufactured? Stand by. I'm monitoring another chat from the university with a bunch of scholars and researchers. I don't know. Quaker Oats? I thought Quaker Oats was oats, not lab made. Where'd you get that from? I don't know. Post it. Post it so I can bring up the link and show everybody. Yeah, why not? I can show them something like this. But I want to see yours. So, it's the level of the seriousness, the threat detection, the instruction. Okay, so when we go actually past the actual trying to figure out whether somebody's hearing something or not, or there's a voice in their head, or there's an auditory voice in their head, or it's a unique clinical forensic implication that is identified to be antiquated or attached to a mental illness, well, we've got to understand the power of the voice. Why? Why is it there? Someone put it. You ever heard a voice in your head? What was the power? Who was it? What was the detailed one of three? The specific steps, the compliance, the command's instruction, the apparent means, particularly obey, or negotiate with the voice and reduce the perceived threat. The negotiation, is there fear to negotiate with yourself or that inner voice? Quite possibly because of the power of the voice, the power of the influence, the power of the structure. Think of bureaucracy. Think of politicians. Politicians influence. Yes. I watched a politician say that, well, it was a little knife, one stab. And then I watched another broadcaster today. It was only a knife to get stabbed one time. I don't know if it went deep enough to kill somebody, but somebody shouldn't get 23 years in prison. Or what? Or do you think the person's faking dead? For those of you that have mediological training and mediological degrees, like myself, the heart is about that far. About that far. Once you make it through the protective bones, through the tissue, through the muscle, through the fatty, it's about that far. All you need to do is nick it, slice it, so that the blood, lefty, right, leave, right, return. internal bleeding, bleed to death inside. You don't have to have a whole samurai straight through penetration perforation to have or a vampire heart pull out. The voice of the auditory power that you're hearing when you're doom scrolling, the obeying the negotiation. That's what everybody struggles with, the negotiation of what do you watch. Are you going to hide your phone from society because the power of society is stronger than your internal relevant need to watch it? I did, and I put mine right on the treadmill. 2.5 miles. I was just like watching it. Just screen everybody. Big old fat screen right here. I mean, somebody could walk by and look, that's this type of hate show he's watching. Yeah, but the majority of people know I'm watching all kind of oddity material. And they're like, hey, Doc, why are you watching this? Wow, good question, let me tell you. Then after 10 minutes, they're like, okay, I got you. We're good. Approximately 48% comply with full orders of hallucination, of imagination, hallucination, the power. Yes, 48%. Sawyer, 2008, 2012, 2016, 17, then you got Brom, then there's more sources. You want the sources, shoot me an email, I'll send you the sources. But that's almost said torches. Oh my gosh, too much hate TV, said torches. Yeah, 31% appeased or partially comply. Appeasement is, I got you, it's good, but I'm not going to fully comply. Kind of like those of you that watch, though. We got to get them before they get us. Yeah, we're going to comply. We're going to prep. We're going to be ready for the war. We're going to be ready to be Rambo and Navy SEAL Delta 9. No, you're not. Maybe MEAL Team Fatty 6. But your compliance and your appeasement is going to be 21% minimal at best or rest. Because you can't resist the influence of what you're listening to. The hallucination, the voice. You're going to hear it. You're going to remember what the voice said. You're going to remember what it is. I'm not talking about listening to me right now. Somebody's going to remember what I said a day from now, 2 days from now, 3 days from now. I've gotten emails from students, cops, law enforcement that I instructed at one school, this school, at FLETC, at Quantico. Hey, I remember when you said this years ago. The auditory, it's a hallucination. I'm not there in front of them. It's memory recall, but now the power of the memory recall is a command. It's power, it has presence. Someone with a mental illness, think of that power, that command, that presence. Self-harm, infliction, harm to others. Non-violent actions that people see as crazy. Well, they're out in the middle of the street yelling at the sky. What is the power and the influence and the compliance to yell to the sky? And what is the consequence of arguing against the power and the compliance of the hallucination? What's there? It's the aliens. It's out to get me. They're watching me. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I give them what they deserve? The per capita of mental illness. How many of you have actually experienced that before? Watched it happen, seen it with your own eyes? Yep. People are actually less likely to comply with violent commands than non-violent commands. Have to do some digging. Have to do some digging on research, peer review, right? Statistical analysis, but we only have as much information that is actually allowed out to us. There are limitations and restrictions. We don't have it all. Kind of like we were told it was raining. Was in there, the big fight broke out. Yeah, okay. Did anybody see the video of that thing? Oh, yeah, everybody knows what I'm talking about. The stabbing at the Texas school track meet. Less than a couple seconds, boom, all hell breaks loose. So all of that, we're going to protest and get them before they get us, was based on baloney. Crap. Possible causes of violent commands, the triggers. What was the violent command and the trigger that day? What was the negotiation? What was the recognition of this is wrong, but the severity of the act is going to have consequences, but I'm going to comply. I'm going to do enough to appease. Barely enough to appease. Not 50 stabs, but one stab. But one stab was enough. Isn't that right, Jasmine Crockett? It's a little knife. Anybody watch that? That's called bad mentorship and bad leadership, okay? Bad selection. You could kill someone with a needle. About that long. Yes, a needle. Same thing. Internal bleeding. You're not going to see it. You're not going to know. Good grief. Anybody ever been to Asia? Anybody ever been to the Middle East wearing pins in your shirt that are that long? Hidden weapons, break off snap? Think of an ice knife. Not rocket science. Oh my gosh, look, the hallucination of Dr. G giving it to the world. These things exist. Good grief. Go ask a Yakuza member. Needles. Yes, needles. Yeah, the ones with little plastic balls, or the ones with the, very, very hard to see, hard to find. Dig, can't find nothing. What is that pain? Why am I hurting so bad? Why did this person die within 2 minutes? Oh, that's it. It's a needle about that long, but we missed it because we're swiping and looking for a knife or John Wick pencils or a Jasmine Crockett stab knife. It just, no. Failed mediological experience, knowledge creates hallucination of fact giving. The command, listen to what I'm saying, do what I say. You're going to fall for it. You're going to listen to it. When commanding voices are recognized as someone that is a known person, like the living, the deceased, religious figures, authority figures, compliance rates increase significantly. Influence, the brain, the mens rea, aiding in the actus rea. Now the mens rea, they said, we got to get them. I got to put my voice out right now. Yeah, we got to get them. Make them pay. So you're going to comply. You're going to spread that word. You're going to make them pay. No, you're not. No. Because you have that internal auditory command of, well, it's against the law. I may, if I make someone pay, get the same thing this person did. 23 years. If not life, if not capital, the death sentence in specific states. Yes. That internal, what is the consequence? What is the good? What is the bad? Is the good that that public figure, that religious figure, that deceased family, that friend, that person that said something that I watch on social media is now the hallucination of auditory control. Now you're going to get out there and do it. But your internal voice, unless you are truly dilapidated with a mental illness, is going to weigh toward that moral ought to, ought not. It's going to happen. Can't say it happened. Just like everybody has a sadist side. Everybody has a little bit of sadism in themselves. Give me a thumbs up if you got some sadism in the chat. Not you, Barney. I know you do. Give it up. Everybody likes to see a little pain, a little suffer. Yeah, they got what they deserve. That's it. That is it. Let's move on with this, the role. What makes the intrusive sense? We are more likely to obey instructions, right, from voices we perceive as legitimate, familiar, powerful, influential. But it has to be presented in forensic context as we interpret the forensics itself. Now, what is forensics? Forensics is not science like everybody thinks. It's preparation for presentation using ability, skill, training of multiple disciplines to aid in investigations or interview, interrogations, medical research. So the power of the voice in the forensic context of the voice, the influence, the legitimacy, the familiarization, the power, the control. Are you going to argue it or obey? This means the voice identifies as what one would equal the voice to as God, Satan, the devil, the demon, and influence. Do you have that? What is the power of the influence for the familiarity in your hallucination, your sadistic thought? Are you going to trigger and move forward with it? Is it that strong? Is the compliance word and weight heavy enough to where you understand the forensic context of, I'm going to comply with this, or I'm going to do enough to appease, or I'm just going to simply, resist the terminology, resist the power of the God, the devil in my head, the hallucinogenic, just push into your soul. I've got to get this done. Man, the consequences to me, if I do not get this done, are going to be severe. The attributed. What's the inner speech? You missed it. You missed where it came from. The attribution of where. What's the power? Misattribution. Bam, it's gone. Over. You skipped past it. kind of like scrolling through your doom videos, I gotta watch this live stream, the inner speech. Now you're remembering it. One leading neurobiological theory of all of this explains that verbal hallucination is or perceived to be a recognizable failure of one's own internal thoughts that are self-generated. You can't generate it yourself, so you're relying on the hallucinogens, the hallucination, the episodic memory recall of which you've heard from the powerful godlike figure, the familiar entity, and now it's your primary influence. That's where your thought patterns are going to come from. That's where your more ought to, ought not is going to come from. That's where your decision-making skills are going to come from. Your trait development, your sociological development, your family, raised by wolves, raised by nature. Attribution. How are you going to self-generate a new command now? Because you self-generating an argument to, got to get them before they get us, you can't argue it. It's kind of like watching protests. I like watching it. Well, the congressmen and the senators. Well, the only one that can have anything to do in your little stupid specific area you're protesting is the state rep or the senator or the congressman that represents your specific area, region, or district. You say it like it's the entire House, the entire Senate, I love watching those uneducated people speak. They speak as if it's all of them. The power of the voice, the familiarity, the misattribution of the guiding word. How many of you have watched something like that where they say the senators, and they can't even give the identity of their own state rep, senator, nothing that represents their specific region, location, themselves. They can't give it. It's just open out there in the field. It's like, Orange Angry Man controls it all. It's President Trump. He made this happen. No. Biden, he made ICE get here. No, it's something called law. L-A-W, law. Judiciary review, executive, legislative. The rule of three, knowing what position you're in. You make that choice. The hallucinations, which ones do you listen to? The familiar, the power of the God, your movement, left, right, Republican, Democrat, conservative, whatever the heck it is, the power of the movement for you. The label, the internally organized structure of the words, how you're going to search for something in your head when you don't even know how to explain it. How are you going to find the answers when your internal voice can't even match your external voice? What did this say? Searching for answers so hard your brain answers. Yeah, that can it, but your brain's going to answer. But predominantly sometimes if you can't understand what one is searching for, the answers that you're going to get are going to be either misguided, misleading, or refusely incorrect. It's the way it is because you can't interpret it. It's kind of like protesters, the Congress, the this, the that. No. There's only one person that's in the representation of you in that specific region, district, and it was what? The electoral body. Thus, they're an electoral, judiciary, executive position. Hallucination. The brain's region involved in speech. All right? So think about this. The brain's region involved in speech. Let's bust this down. Let me get this down. I'm going to bring something up so everybody can see this. Let me see the brain's region. Give me a minute. We're going to find something. The language centers. Yeah, we're going to shift. Bam. I don't like that one. Yeah, I like this one. Look at this right here. The brain centers. We have two. We must understand chronologically what is in the amygdala and the hippocampus. Where my cursor is, amygdala region, hippocampus region, Broca's region 4, the frontal lobe, speech, interpretation, how it's going to autistically come out and how we're going to hear it. It all tethers together like a computer, a big massive wiring system. So if you can't interpret in your own head the expressive linguistic value of what you need to say, how's it going to come out? What is the action? What is the God's voice? What is the internal auditory hearing? MRI has shown that during auditory hallucinations, and I have seen this in real life, the brain region involved in speech production, like we just saw, okay, the Broca, the production activity, it stimulates with internal auditory process, suggesting that the brain is essentially hearing its own thoughts, its own memory recall, trauma, episodic memory recall based on what is being triggered right now in the moment. It came from outside. Of course it did. It was a trigger for your drawer to open, your memory. Kind of like those conversations and emails I get. Hey, you remember like 2-3 years ago when we were at this fire school and you were teaching tetrahedron and explosives? Yeah, how did you? I forgot all about that. What was so critically triggering? Well, this happened today and I remembered it, and I was trying to put together what you said. The power, the words, the command, the instructorship, the leadership, the weight of the person that had influence on me. It all ties together. It all works. Neurologically. It's a hallucination too, but it's not giving a command of bad tidings or Yuletide joy. It's how it's interpreted. Think of the mental ill. It involves the brain system misfiring in concert. It's misfiring. The amygdala, the major center of the chip, the hippocampus, the limbic system, the trauma drawers, the hearing, the prefrontal cortex, all the different areas of the brains, superior temporal regions. Well, the temporal regions, superior is one. They all function together. Research and the brain are one now. The brain is internally arguing, interpreting what it wants to say, interpreting what it has to do, comply, just simply be appeased, recognize the consequence for doing or not doing what that internal hallucination's telling you to do. Yep, the MRI specifically identifies disrupted connectivity, all right? Supratemporal, that's what it kind of does. Let's bring one, let's bring up a shot of an MRI. Let me see. That's an F. And there's a distinct difference between an MRI and an fMRI. Yeah, here we go. Let's go lower right. Right there. Right there. MRI. We see the actual, as I said, circuitry during process, during think, during sleep, during critical skill time, critical interpretation, auditory interpretation, smell interpretation, internal voice interpretation, self-command, attributed. Where'd it come from? Why are you having trouble shutting your brain down when you put your big head down on your little pillow at night to sleep? This is happening. Everything's functioning together like the computer, the internal circuits. Now, as we slip over, we're going to slip over, so I kind of want you to see the difference in an MRI and an fMRI. DMN networks. Give me a quick second, because it is intriguing. The human neuroscience. I gotta find one. I'm going through pictures and files. Going through pictures and files of autopsies, yes. And yeah. Here's a good one. Yeah, there's a good one. All right, slam. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, right there, the internal. All right, amygdala, the regions, everything's firing at once. Temporal, superior, everything's interpreted. So you got to think about, what is the actual reason for the trigger? What's the reason for the firestorm in your head? The experienced auditory hallucination, is it normal? Is it abnormal? What are the connections between the superior temporal gyrus and the sound processing areas? Is there an obstruction? Is there physical damage? Is there TBI? Or are you just flat out normal? You just can't internally voice it or articulate it enough to argue, well, do I comply or Do I just stay appeased, or do I resist it through internal argument of moral ought to, moral ought not? This is not a God voice. This is not a devil voice. This is not a voice of power. This is not something that can actually convince me to do something. We got to get them before they get us. It's all up to you, people. The suggestive auditory or internal speech, the hallucination, self-harm, public harm to you, harm to society. We've been seeing that for weeks and months all over the news. Why does someone go get a knife? Why does someone go get a gun and go out and they come in 3, I'll be in number 2, and hopefully somebody else will be the rule of 3 because of the hallucination, the voice, the command, the power, the instruction. A little sadist in all of you, correct? The hallucination. Yep. It's like the saline network of the brain. Yeah, the saline network. Saline normally acts as a brain's attention filter, right? The saline network. Deciding what is important during the misfire and the psychosis moment and the psychopathy incident that you're experiencing, and treats internal generated thoughts as urgent, external threats, the demand, fight or flight, the need for immediate action. It's the whole network, saline network system. It all works together that fast. But if you do not have the education ingested to store into the hippocampus or limbic system, you're not going to be able to open the drawer linguistically and interpret what is really happening. The mens rea of the mind, the exterior and interior of the moment, are going to affect the act, the do. Got to get them before they get us. Do you? Are you going to put yourself on that platform, or if you're going to be the getter, or are you going to be the one that tried to be the getter and now you've been gotten? The saline, neurological disruptions create the brain's state of being, state of the moment, where a person's own inner speech is experienced as power. Your own speech. Anybody ever had that moment where you talk to yourself and you made yourself emotional? Happens to everybody. Everybody's had that. Talk to yourself. Those feelings, those times in life where it was a struggle to get past it and it's still emotional. The powerful meaning of the moment, the internal and external command of you inside. You got to get through it. It's called resilience. Comply, appeasement, resist, resilience of life. You got to have the linguistic skill internalized to get through it, because you have to interpret what's happening in the moment, what you're seeing, what you're smelling, what God, what familiarity, what person of power, what influence you're listening to, the credibility and validity of the person, the compliance, the consequence, the disobedience. You interpret all of that. Do we comply? It's kind of like the show we did the other day, the one I did the other day. Some in the military are not going to comply. They're going to choose a side in that race versus races versus race. Where are the police going to go? What, do you think the police are all one? It's a big mixed combobulation of mixed method, mixed another. Think of it. Yeah, even my birth certificate says MMM. Oddities. What side are you going to choose? What side are you going to choose? Compliance, appeasement, resistance, resilience? Or are you going to consider disobeying the consequences, that internal voice? God made me do it. The devil made me do it. That power, the influence, the structure. Who said it? We're white. We got to get all the black people. We're black. We got to get all the white people. We're Islamic. We got to kill all the non-Islamic. The power. Where's it coming from? The irrevertible choice theory, neurological. Irrevertible, rather than choice. You got to make that choice, but you can't make the choice when your internal logic is that of a buffoon or a rock or a fly. Got to happen. This is not a substitute for a classroom, people. If you want to know a good university to go to, shoot me an email. I'll help you out. You don't necessarily have to go to mine, but you need to go to somewhere. Do something. Let's close it out with the language processing breakdowns, all right? The superior temporal gyrus of the brain, the brain's region, primarily responsible for producing sound, language. Yeah, me want 'em, me, yeah, sound, language. Even the interpretation of power and inflection of voice, comedy. Do I choose this voice for emotion? Do I choose this voice for the inflection of a return of anger? Yeah. The power of the presenter, the power of the God, the power of the Satan, the power of the familiar, the power of the person in the family. You ever watch Stammer talk? You know, the prime minister that everybody says is going to resign here in a few days because he sucks. I agree with England. That dude sucks. That dude's garbage for that country. Talks like a lawyer. Like a lawyer. Inflection, the power. Look at me, the distraction. Yeah, same thing, the auditory. People with auditory verbal hallucinations, all right? Auditory. That fMRI I showed you, the one that was blue, all parts of the brain, it's disrupted. The internal connectivity, the anterior parts of the brain, they're not working right together. And we're not having a brain function school to break down the brain here. I'm just letting you know. The interior, it's not working right. The computer's not working right. That's what the fMRI is looking for. Think of the posterior part, the STG, posterior parts of the brain. We're not going to have a class here, but it's subdivided. They're all subdivided. It's connected like the computer, but it's all connected to the power of the voice, the hippocampus, the limbic system, the Brock, the internal recognition of speech, how to perform auditory return, the power of the selection of the words through the limbic system, the hippocampus, the hallucination of the word that you heard before, the hallucination in your own head. I need to say this to get the point across and have the power of the God, the influence, the person. You yourself are trying to be the mental middle temporal gyrus in the middle of the brain. The influence, everything that falls within compass of the auditory, the selection, the limbic system, the amygdala, the hippocampus. Now you're trying to find words of power for yourself, internalized, so that you can auditory them, so that someone can hear them, and the frontal cerebral temporal cortex can interpret and then send it all back to the hippocampus and start all over again through a response that fast. Let's go get you, white people. No, don't come get us. We're going to get you that fast. Doom scrolling. Yep, this connectivity suggests that the brain's language and auditory processing systems are not communicating properly when all of those areas do not work together. Now, I know I just blistered out a whole bunch of stuff in a whole bunch of different areas. We're not going to have, brain school here, but we're just kind of giving you a quick rundown of the hallucination in your own head, hallucination of influence, hallucination of power. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm not saying it's all good. Like I said, I was in the gym today. I sought out a lot of channels that people would say, oh, can't believe you're watching that. Yeah, some of it I agreed with. Some of it I didn't, on all spectrums. All spectrums. All spectrums. Yes. So I say, if you're going to watch the Republicans, watch the Democrats. Yeah, you're going to watch the conservatives, watch the libertarians. Take a knee. Yes, it's not a joke. That's a reality. Yeah, I don't do politics, but I say it because I've seen it. Yeah. Anybody ever been up to Rock? Yeah. We're just going to leave that there. Dogs chasing indigenous women, biting them, and get on the knee and scream and holler and pray it doesn't happen. Pray didn't help. Still got bit by the dogs. Still got ran off your own land. Let's cover it with the default mode. Why should I said cover it? Let's close it. The default mode, the network, all right? The self-monitoring failures. It's kind of like not being able to go to sleep at night because you're monitoring yourself and the words that you said and the things that you tried to convey to society didn't work. You weren't the power, the God, the satanic influence of emotion. You didn't have enough to push it. So now you're arguing with yourself. It's kind of like having the argument and losing it, and then tomorrow or the next day you think of something that if you would have said it then, you would have been victorious and dominated the argument. So now you want to go start it back up again, but you don't know how to because of the self-monitoring failure. You don't want to make yourself look like a moron or a poop starter or a poop flinger. But internally, that's the resistance. The appeasement, now you know. Is it enough to know and shrug it off, or are you going to comply with that internal Satan, that internal voice of power? Go start the fire again. prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulated cortex of the brain, the middle temporal lobe become active when this central part of self-monitoring failure is in focus and not working externally. You can't put it together. You can't put it out there. Someone's going to hear you and say, well, that was straight stupid, man. You failed that argument. You lost it yesterday and you're losing it now, but you know you're right. Now the power of the internal God, my voice, my words, the hallucination is not going to work. Now it's time for actus rea. Dun dun dun. Yes, actus rea. The violence, the self-harm, the hallucination of auditory control of you can do it internally. Middle temporal lobe becomes active again because now you're daydreaming, self-reflection of what you can be. The DMN, the hyperactivity, abnormal connection of the brain is now the auditory cortex. The hallucination is real. The hallucination of you is now your own devil, your own God, your own power, your own influence. I watched Dr. Mike G on CJTV, and he told me all of this. I almost said CGTV. Might as well be, right? CJ. But I can't do it that way. I got other researchers to help out. A lot of them are working right now. State, federal, local. But it's all you. This means the brain's self-regulatory system is essentially, in layman terms, think of it like a glass, it's leaking. The auditory system is not working correctly. The interpretation, the perceived external and internal threats, validity are not there because you can't argue it internally correct. So you're going to settle and be appeased with what you've got. The hallucination, the voice. The devil made me do it. Self-monitoring. It's centralized due to understanding why voices feel free to roam. Because you let them feel free to roam. You're the detection of hijacking for yourself. Easy to hijack your own self. The saline network, so to say. The brain system that influences the anterior insula part of the brain. The cingulated or cingulation or singular cortex. The psychosis, the psychopathy, the attention or position on yourself. You treat it internally as you would anything else that's generated internally. You can argue with yourself. You're going to try to find the answers for yourself to make sure you don't look stupid, sound stupid. Then when you do, it's time to pick up a stick, regress back, because this is not working. Kill your daughter, I will. Kill your husband, or I'll kill him myself. Kill your wife, kill your family. Internal. Because you can't process what appears to be the internal or exterior threat physically. Process is there. Things happen. Anyway, it's a holiday, so I'm not going to take too much of everybody's time. I know. Some are like enchanted by this episode. Some are intrigued. Some are freaked out. Some are like, this guy watched a whole bunch of hate videos and came up with this and did this and talked about the brain, the cerebral cortex, amygdala, anterior. Yes, because it's all connected together. It's your computer. Your hallucinations are proof that your computer and your chip are cracked. Yes. And a lot of times it's not TBI or you have an injury. A lot of times it's something as simple as go to school. A lot of times it's something as simple as stop doom scrolling and read a book. Stop searching for garbage and watch something worth watching. Yeah, is what it is. Or you can argue with the devil in your head.